2 months ago, I'm walking along a river in France with my family, and my 7-year-old son looks up at me and asks me, "Dad, why didn't you report those cops?" I'm one of those people that tries to make the world a better place, and I sometimes do it in really annoying ways. So the first thing I thought was to tell him, "You can't just say things out of the blue and expect people to know what you're talking about." But I actually did know what he was talking about, and I realized that there was probably a bigger lesson that I needed to teach him. And that was a lesson about being brown in the world. And I had been doing this with him since he was a very little kid, probably 3 or 4 years old, when I started telling him stories about all the discrimination in my life. And I've told him about the time where I was just running down the street and a cop stopped me to ask me what I'm running from. No, I'm just jogging. I told him about the time where I'm in a store and a store owner came up to me and told me that he has me on video stealing from his store, and he makes me empty my pockets in the middle of the store to find I haven't stolen anything. My pockets are empty. But his favorite story, and I don't know why he rates these horrible moments in my life, but his favorite story is actually when I was 21 years old, and I was in a hotel parking lot where I had to stay when I was in electrical engineering school, and I hadn't found an apartment yet. I was just standing next to my car, getting ready to go into the hotel, and a cop car pulls up. The next thing I know, there's 4 cop cars and 6 cops. They're all surrounding me with their bright lights. And I'm thinking to myself, man, am I America's Most Wanted, or what is this? But I actually hadn't committed any crime. I hadn't even gotten a ticket at this point, so I was pretty sure this was just another case of racial profiling. The cop comes up to me and asks me to search my car, and I know I can tell him no, but I decide I don't want to seem more suspicious, so I'll just let him search through the car. He searches through the car and through the trunk and everything, and after 10, 15 minutes of having me sit on the curb, he comes back and says, "You're good to go. I just had to respond to a call about a suspicious person, and since you backed your car into your parking spot, I thought you maybe were trying to get away from me," which seems perfectly a good way to get away from somebody, by slowly backing in your car and getting out. But I just brushed it off and went into the hotel. All the workers in there knew me because I had been staying there a few nights, and they were all shocked. And the first thing they asked me was, "Do you want to report this incident?" And I thought to myself, no, I've been having these incidents for most of my life. Why would I report it? Nothing I say is going to change what happened. Why would I say anything? So on that day when I'm walking on the river with my son, I had been telling him that same answer for the last 3 or 4 years, and I told him the same answer again. Nothing's going to happen if I say it. Except on this day, I had a lot of extra time to talk to him because we were walking along the river on vacation, and I decided to tell him a full story about the history of our country and slave trade and slavery and segregation, and I did the whole thing. I went through everything. It was a 45-minute discussion, back and forth. He was asking me questions. He was really into it. And after the conversation, I felt really good that I had done what I was supposed to do. I had prepared him to have brown skin. 2 weeks later, I'm getting into a shuttle bus in the south of France to pick up a rental car at the airport. And I'm not in a rush. I don't have any bags. We're just getting a rental car to get around down there. And I decide I'm just going to start writing on my phone. So I pull up my phone and I start writing. And then I hear some people talking in English without an accent. And I'm like, oh, wow, I've been here for 3 weeks. I don't think I've heard anybody talking English without an accent other than the people in my family. So I looked up to see what they look like. And I see a woman with brown hair and beautiful blue eyes, and her husband, who's over 6 feet, with blonde hair and brown eyes. And in his arms, he's carrying their son, which looks exactly like his mom, with blue eyes, except he has blonde hair. And I'm thinking, oh, what a lovely family, not thinking too much of it. As I start to go look back at my phone, I see that his pocket of his backpack is wide open, and their passports are in there. So I had a decision. I thought, I could help, but I kind of don't want to get in the middle of things. I kind of just want to stay on the outside. But then I thought I would want someone to tell me, I don't want to lose passports, so let me just tap him. And I told him, your backpack pocket is open. And he nodded a thank you, and he's got his son in his arm, so he's trying to reach it, but he can't reach around the side, he can't reach around. He switches the son in his other arm, and he's trying to reach it, and finally I'm like, I'll just get that for you. And I zip it shut for him, and I go back to my writing thinking, it's over. But the next thing I hear is his wife ask him, honey, where's your wallet? And he taps his pocket and says, it's here. And then she leans in to whisper something in his ear, but tries to play it off like she's kissing him on the cheek. And I don't know exactly what she said, but I know exactly what's coming. And sure enough, he puts his son down on their suitcase, and he turns his backpack away from me and into the crowd of people on the other side of him. And I don't know what to do, and I just think to myself, just another moment. I try and laugh it off. But as I try and go back to my phone, I look down, and I see the 3 or 4-year-old boys looking up at me with his deep blue eyes, and I can see he's wondering, what about me made me a bad person or suspicious? And I realized that even a small whisper can have a big impact in a person's life. And I realized that I have been a fraud, that I've been telling my son that his words don't matter. I thought I was preparing him to live in his brown skin, but I had just been lying to myself this whole time. When I got into the rental car, I wanted to cry, but I knew I couldn't. I knew I needed to undo what I had done. So as I drove to meet up with my family, I imagined the next time my 7-year-old son asked me, Dad, why didn't you report those cops? But this time I wouldn't say my words didn't matter. I would kneel down next to him and tell him, son, I was wrong. I should have told somebody that what those cops did was wrong. I should have told somebody that it's not okay to surround somebody who hasn't done anything wrong and make them feel like a criminal. And I should have never told you that your words don't matter. And now, if you ever have a story, even if you think it's small, I need you to tell that story, because you never know when the smallest story is going to have a big impact in someone else's life. Thank you.